Part 100. Pokemon's Character Master. Author, Ai Ren Huoqiang Xiao. Chapter 1030. Learned. If one bag can't hold so many things, can I use a larger bag to hold it? Ghost storage space is like this. But the problem is, when this bag containing treasures expands as the strength increases, it can hold more things in an instant. Yang Yu watched helplessly as the little dream demon began to move her baby again. Obviously, this improvement in strength has once again expanded the storage space of the little dream monster. However, Yang Yu raised his head and glanced at the sky above the palace. If the ceiling here was sold for a brick, it would definitely be worth a sky-high price, but forget it, Yang Yu has Qian Ning now. Brother, I found a super stone and a light stone. Can you take them away? Yang Xiao asked in a low voice. Although these are the treasures of Dragon Palace, but Yang Xiao really wants it? Let's ask Kuai Long, it should be possible. Kuai Long actually didn't care about these external things. In the end, Yang Xiao obtained an additional dark stone in addition to the super stone and the light stone. According to Yang Xiao's idea, these stones will be made into amulets for Gardevoir and the magic wall doll to wear first. The light stone can help the magic wall doll create a clearer air wall. Compared with the super stone, it is more suitable for the magic wall doll. The remaining dark stone may not be of much help to Gengar, but it is still necessary to prepare it first. Yang Xiao hoped that after meeting Gengui in another world, he could hand it over to him personally. In the real world, no one knows what Gengar's current situation is. In the main hall of the Dragon Palace, you can still see a row of pearl oysters. At this moment, Jigglypuff is standing in front of them, and the frog is gently tapping the pearl oyster shells on it. The volume is from low to high. Obviously, among them has a very interesting rhyme. Who? Kuai Long found Yang Yu. When he slapped Yang Yu on the shoulder, Yang Yu inexplicably felt like a child being picked up by his parents. At this moment, he was a little afraid to move. Kuai Long wanted to know why Hakran's moves had the aura of fairy attributes inexplicably. Kuai Long even knew whether Hakran had a blue friend with fairy attributes outside of Kuai Long's subconscious. If so, Kuai Long was ready to teach the little demon how to be a dragon properly, but when he thought about it carefully, something was wrong. The aura of this move was clearly used by Hakran himself, especially when Kuai Long inspected Hakran's move Freezing Light. There is a little more demon in the ice-type moves? Damn it, Kuai Long almost didn't get hit by the 8 times of damage to the point where he doubted Long Sheng. A traitor actually appeared among the Dragon Clan. But when Kuai Long thought about it carefully, he realized that Hakran was his daughter. In this way, he seemed to be more accepting of it. However, he had to arrest the human trainer and interrogate him to find out whether he showed up during training. What a situation. These fairy attributes are obtained by eating ice cream, really? Yang Yu gestured back and forth, but Kuai Long still stared with 2 big eyes. How could Kuai Long believe that eating ice cream can bring out other attributes? Eating a little bit would definitely have no effect, but the question is, how much ice cream made with cream whipped by the cream fairy had Hakran eaten? This is a change from quantity to quality. Tijipai, let the frost milk fairy come out and do a favor. Cooperate with Dede to make some cream ice cream for Kuai Long to see. Yang Yu had no choice but to ask for help. When Hakran heard that there was cream ice cream to eat, he immediately came to Yang Yu and Father Kuai Long. At the same time, he used exaggerated expressions and movements to express to Father Kuai Long how delicious the ice cream was. How delicious can it be? Yeah. When Kuai Long loosened his claws on Yang Yu's shoulders and began to suck the cream ice cream happily. Miff. Hakran's 2 small eyes widened. What about mine? What about mine? Hakran noticed that Father Kuai Long was moving his claws, as if he didn't care about her. It's so delicious that I'll forget about it. What happens in the East China Sea Dragon Palace is naturally unknown to the outside world. Xiaozhepeng received Caesar and took the old Western Dragon King and several trainers who came with him to a suburb about 200 kilometers near the border of Hangzhou, where the dragon totem appeared in the news the place. In fact, Yang Yu and his salted fish king flew for a long time at that time, but the place where they were captured and photographed by passers-by was almost close to this area. Is this where the dragon descends? Caesar looked at the empty area around him, where even the sky had no clouds, and there was nothing displeased in his heart. There was no need for Xiaozhepeng to lie to him in this regard. And according to Western satellite monitoring and judging by latitude and longitude, it is indeed in this area. It's just a pity that I can't see the actual dragon with my own eyes. Wait a minute, I'm taking a call. While leading the way for the Dragon King of the West, Dragon Messenger Xiaozhepeng looked at the number displayed on his mobile phone and his expression became slightly serious. It seems that there are more important things. Caesar didn't take it seriously. He walked slowly in the suburbs here. Although the power of the dragon attribute around him was very weak, when he closed his eyes, he began to imagine the image of a dragon in his mind. The aura on his body was even more powerful. Somewhat majestic. But something unexpected happened to Caesar. An emergency call from the Western Elf Alliance headquarters completely disrupted his peaceful mind at this moment. Okay, I understand. When Caesar's expression gradually became serious as he answered, the same as him was the dragon messenger Xiaozhepeng at this time. The two people looked at each other, making it more like they had confirmed each other's answers and messages through tacit understanding. Grandpa, what happened? Bella was keenly aware of the strange atmosphere. Although she was not curious about the secret realm of the dragon, but was very curious about the young king, but at this moment, she couldn't help but become confused. This is not the dragon's secret realm I want. Caesar spoke slowly, his old face causing the loose flesh at the corners of his mouth to tremble. Divine Dragon's secret realm, Divine Dragon's secret realm. Those who step on horses are all scammers on the internet. The promised dragon's secret realm that may be related to Rayquaza. How could it become like this? Giratina should be a divine dragon too, right? At this moment, there is a feeling of coldness in the heart. At this moment, people can't calm down for a long time. Something big is going to happen in the elf world. Pokemon's Character Master. Author, AI Renhuo Xiangxiao. Chapter 1031. The Reverse World, the Underworld, the Dark World. The Elven world has many awe-inspiring titles and names for the secret space where the Dark Dragon King Giratina is located. Giratina, the Dark Dragon King, is an existence that is almost impossible to compete with in the world of human trainers. Perhaps human trainers in the elf world, facing the power that cannot control their own destiny, will feel that they are a speck of dust in the universe, without any room for resistance. Giratina. When Yun Zhenfei heard this shocking name again, his heart was shocked. Even as a powerful gym leader, at this moment, there was still an uncontrollable tremor at the corner of his mouth. How come? Come so early? Yun Zhenfei was silent for a long time, speaking in a hoarse voice. His mouth was dry and his tone was as dull as the burning in the desert. Grandpa, are you saying that the elf dragon king of the dark world is coming to our elf world? The brown irises between Bella's eyes revealed the excitement unique to a young trainer. Newborn calves are not afraid of tigers. Only. Among the people around her, Bella was the only one with a look of joy on her face. Cough cough cough, sorry. After replacing the joy, Bella remembered the Western description of the dark world, and her fair face became serious, but the curved outline of the face in the corner of her eyes could not hide the joy and expectation in her heart. It's nothing, Bella. I think your joy is very good and makes me feel proud. Young trainers just need to have such vigorous vitality. Caesar's old look was full of doting, and his hands seemed a little thin and trembling. Touching Bella's soft hair, he continued to speak. For us older trainers, that's not a particularly good memory. That's true. Dragon Messenger Xiazhepeng also nodded, confirming the words of the Western Dragon King at this time. When they were opponents in their respective camps, they were merciless in their attacks, but now, in the face of this very sudden news, it seems that the situation has quietly begun to change. There should be news from North America, right? They have all kinds of informants all over the world. Hey, if they are still pretending to be blind and deaf, it's not to blame for the heavy losses they suffered when the world came to reverse last time. The impact on ordinary people is actually not great. Unfortunately, those ambitious people in North America can only swallow the bad consequences in the end. Grandpa, what are you talking about? Why can't I understand a word? Caesar smiled and waved his hand. It's nothing, it's all old things. This old man in his twilight years slowly moved his shoulders to spread his figure a little, and then continued. A wise man from China said well that the advent of the dark world will make our elves realize the world being able to go through challenges to find a bright future, but I still didn't expect. I originally thought that when I came to China, I could find news about Rayquaza, but instead, I received news about Giratina's secret realm. Dragon Messenger Xiazhepeng smiled slightly. Both Caesar, the Dragon King of the West, and Xiazhepeng himself are looking for a way to take the elves' strength to the next level. But what Xiazhepeng never expected, and what Caesar certainly didn't expect, was that this secret path was first discovered by Yang Yu, a young trainer who was less than 22 years old. Suddenly, the corners of Xiazhepeng's eyes twitched slightly. His mind instantly became inexplicably horrified. It can't really have something to do with him, right? Thinking of the Z bracelet material, radiant stone, Z pure crystal, and then thinking of the reverse world that may affect the entire elf world and may come in the near future. Xiazhepeng's heart suddenly began to beat. Xia, what's wrong? Caesar was keenly aware of the subtle changes in this old rival's face. This change cannot escape his seemingly cloudy but sharp eyes. As an opponent, Caesar was very familiar with the changes in Xiazhepeng's expression. Is it related to the Dark World? But even after hearing the news about the coming of the Dark World, speaking of it, what should be solemn in the past has already been solemn. In this way, the elf secret realm has arrived on a global scale, and ordinary people can just live their normal lives. The powerful trainer of the Elf Alliance, they will use their own methods to perform their duties in the Dark World. As long as we work together to get through that dark time, light will eventually come. According to the Western Codex records, the Dark World where Dark Dragon King Giratina is located does not come to destroy the real world of elves, but to create balance. Under this premise, even if Caesar does not agree in his heart, I am willing to face Giratina, but at least I know in my heart that this is not a bad thing. But why did Huaquilong's envoy suddenly show such an expression at this time? Caesar is unknown. In my heart, I really want to know. It's nothing. I just thought that the coming of the reverse world would also be a huge test for the current group of young trainers. For a moment, I thought a little too much. Xiazhepeng answered without leaving any trace. He was thinking of Yang Yu, but Yang Yu seemed to be in the ranks of young trainers. Obviously, there was no flaw in this answer. When it comes to growth, it is true that in the reverse world that your Chinese country calls, the elven secret realm that we in the West call the Dark World is the most difficult and fastest growing elven secret realm in the world. Caesar said calmly, his eyes already resting on Bella. As a grandfather, his expectations for Bella are not only at the level of the current gym level trainer, but also at the higher level and the most critical level of the king level trainer. The road to the King of Heaven is actually a new beginning. Grandpa, don't worry. If that day really comes, I will definitely not let you down. Bella's clear voice had a strong and decisive momentum. This talented female trainer from the West, at this moment the aura of the figure is full of brilliance. Yoon Jianfei sighed in his heart. Once upon a time, he had experienced the dark time in the elven world when darkness fell, but his luck was not very good. At that time, he was just a person who had just received the junior trainer badge. Speaking of which, in a reversal world, it is indeed a great training for people's growth. The rules are almost opposite to those in the elf world. Sometimes, being tortured and tortured, if a person is not crazy, then experiencing it will be very helpful for the future. But if you go through those days and you can't even tell the difference between left and right in the end, then trying to return to normal life will be an unbearable torture. Yang Yu went to the secret realm of the East China Sea Dragon Palace to look for Kuai Long. By the way, Kuai Long also has an unspeakable connection with the reverse world. I remember my Kuai Long mentioned it to me. It seems that his father, and is there any agreement between Yang Yu? Is it about reversing the world? Kai Long may have felt the signs that the reverse world might be coming early. He should have told Yang Yu. Xiazhepeng thought to himself. In any case, this matter will cause a sensation around the world for a long time. There may even be chaos. And the frozen bird on Mount Everest. Xiazhepeng was silent for a long time again. Why is it all related to that guy Yang Yu? You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Pokemon's Character Master. Author, AI Ren Huo Chiang Xiao. Chapter 1032. Kai Long, can you feel the exact time when the reverse world comes? With the arrival of Yang Yu and Yang Xiao, the elves brought many unusual colors to this normally empty crystal palace. Kuai Long's hands, which were swollen like bread, were holding a huge stone bowl, as if they were mixing some strange food. Seeing this, Kuai Long quickly slipped away and hid far away. Place to go. As long as you can't die from the food prepared by Kuai Long's father, it basically doesn't matter. In short, when Hakran saw this strange thing that he had been eating for who knows how long, tears almost flowed from the painful memories. Come down. Who? In response to Yang Yu's question, Kuai Long shook his head. He could feel the increasingly clear aura of the coming reverse world. This was something he would never forget in his life. Although he could not be sure of a specific day, after all, not too far. At the same time, Kuai Long will not forget that Hakran sneaked into the corner. Seeing Hakran growing up so quickly, Kuai Long's old father was extremely pleased. At the same time, this portion of Hakran's favorite food was old father brand fruit bran. Hakran? Wasn't it the time when we lived in the Dragon Palace that this was the only thing we could eat? Hakran ate 2 large bowls with tears in his eyes. Huh. Kuai Long talked about the shadow of the dragon that appeared on King Xianyu in the previous battle between elves. That is a power that Kuai Long must be in awe of. This is a reliable force that can help us deal with the difficulties we may encounter in a reverse world. Without this, I may have to come to you for a while. After all, according to our agreement, we want to obtain your recognition is still very stressful for me. Ho 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 ho. Kuai Long happily clapped his paws as soft and fluffy as bread, and squinted his crescent-shaped smiling eyes. Kuai Long couldn't count how long he had been so happy. He waited for a long, long time, a long, long time. Just found a glimmer of hope. On this trip to reverse the world, he will do whatever it takes. Brother, if the reverse world comes to our elven world, what will ordinary people do? Yang Xiao has always had such a question in his mind. That world sounds very scary. If that secret realm really comes to the real world of elves, how should people all over the world live normally? For ordinary people, just think of it as a dream. Cresselia, the god of dreams, answered in Yang Xiao's ear. The sky will always be dark. During that time, the sun in the elven world will be covered, and all the light will be lit by the stars. Although Yang Yu has not personally experienced life when the reverse world comes, at least the last time the reverse world came, Yang Yu and Yang Xiao were not born yet. However, in Yang Yu's memory, the picture of the reversed world was inexplicably clear. Eternal night, floating island, stars. Even, it's like coming to the outside universe, you can feel your own incomparable insignificance. For those who are afraid of the dark, it may be a nightmare. But in the urban world of humans, there are always some people who bring constant light to the dark world. Humans are indeed a complex type of elves in the world of elves. Darkrai has not appeared for a long time, but every time he appears, his words are full of his own understanding. Having been away from Crescent Island for so long, I have seen the elven world of the new era and gained a lot of insights. Yang Yu smiled slightly. Yang Yu agreed very much with what Darkrai said. Xiao Yu, don't worry about this. The older trainers in our Elf Alliance have experienced such times and have sufficient experience to deal with the arrival of the reverse world. Although it is full of mystery and unknown, at least, we can have the ability to deal with such a world-class elf secret realm. Yang Yu bids farewell to Kuai Long. During this period, Yang Yu will still return to the snow-capped mountains of Mount Everest, where there are still important things waiting for him. The communication between the core of Reggie Locke's wisdom and the core of power will also change when the reverse world comes. It will be a powerful help to Yang Yu. As expected by Yang Yu, after the Chinese Elf Alliance successively confirmed and released the news, and finally the official confirmed the news that the reversal world's secret realm would arrive early, the entire Chinese country immediately caused a sensation and heated discussion. The internet is even more lively. Shocked. Behind the secret realm of Shenlong, is actually it. The legendary Dragon King of the underworld, Giratina, the king of the era with ghost and dragon attributes. Why did the reverse world come to the elf world early? Will the elf world become an eternal night? Although there were many people who were scheming and wanted to sort things out, soon, under the supervision of the ghost intranet of the Demon City Ghost Tower, the Elf Alliance immediately dispatched and quickly arrested a group of people who spread rumors and feared that the world would not be in chaos. Criminals. What's interesting is that when the reverse world came last, these people were probably not even born, and they may not even know what the reverse world is. With the macro control of the Elf Alliance, all parts of China, including the trainers stationed in the military camps, are mobilized to prepare for the coming of the secret realm of the reverse world at any time to ensure the stability of public security during the darkness. Normal life with the people. Vigorous demolition work. This team of Weird Force trainers, which is relatively well known in Hangzhou, has ushered in another brand new reform. Boss, are we preparing to deliver food? Looking at the newly issued orange-yellow fluorescent work clothes, the eyes of this group of employees were all fixed on the two characters Meituan. In response to the call of the Elf Alliance, when the reverse world comes, we probably won't have any houses to demolish for us. Of course, we must be ready to transform at any time. There was no joking on Wang Xiaoli's face, his expression was serious and serious. Although the strength of our trainers may not be at the elite level, we can still help the Elf Alliance maintain public security in the city. Don't let anyone slip up at the critical moment. Don't lose the sign of our great strength. Of course. With waves of booing, the atmosphere here quickly turned from tense at the beginning to joy. Speaking of which, these workers couldn't help but breathe a sigh of relief. When the reversal of the world may come, the best thing is to stay at home, watch dramas, and stay at home with the elves. If you are afraid of the dark, then close the curtains and turn on the lights in the room, so that you will feel scared. But for ordinary people like them, if you lose your job and your source of living funds, life will become very difficult. Fortunately, it seems that with the transformation of the demolition office, I can have a job that guarantees food and clothing. These are ordinary people before the reverse world comes. The youthfulness and tenderness on Wang Xiaoli's face has gradually matured, but he still will not forget the person who once set up a beacon for him when he was somewhat doubtful in his life. If it's a trainer like Yang Yuxian Wang, during the time when the reverse world comes, maybe he is a hero who protects the lives of us ordinary people, right? Pokemon's Character Master. Author, AI Ren Huoqiang Xiao. Chapter 1033. Such silence always makes people feel helpless. Every time I climb Mount Everest, although there is an otherworldly feeling in my heart, in the end, I will also feel lonely. On top of Mount Everest, the Ice Queen, whose appearance is already old, seems to have seen through the world of mortals in her words and eyebrows. This is the 51st day since Yang Yu returned to Mount Everest. During these nearly 2 months, he trained in seclusion, trained the elves, and at the same time trained himself. Compared with the older generation of trainers, there are things that I have never experienced before, more or less, and I am still a little young. Let yourself calm down, this is the best way to face the unknown secret realm. It is rare that there is not much icy wind and snow on Mount Everest, and the night sky is completely clear. What is supposed to come will always come, and now, I really hope it can come early. Yang Yu smiled, tilting his head in the direction of the guardian of Mount Everest. If they can find Xiao Yu's Jengar earlier, Xiao Yu and Gardevoir will be able to feel at ease early. Likewise, Jengar Laohe from the Ghost Tower in the Magic City will not be able to control his anger, making the ghosts and ghosts fire at night in the Magic City. Light up the seductive night sky. The elf world has a dull and impetuous atmosphere. The control of the Elf Alliance, coupled with the official large-scale science popularization, has made many people who have the idea of the end of the world feel a little calmer. The reverse world is a super-large elven secret realm. It is even larger than the city in the sky and the temple under the sea. You have many secrets, but everyone has their own secrets to some extent. However, it is a great pleasure for us to be able to see the growth of your young trainer's Ice Queen Dai. He put on the hat on his cloak and stepped on the sky, with the figure of the Snow Witch looming behind him. This time, the Ice Queen suddenly stopped silently, with a tangled look on her face, as if there were still some words she had yet to say. Finally, when she closed her eyes, took a deep breath, and she left behind an echoing word. After guarding Mount Everest for many years, sometimes there are scattered stars in the night sky of Polaris. If you encounter a difficult decision in an inverted world, perhaps you can seek help from Polaris in the night sky. Yang Yu stared blankly at the shadow of the Ice Queen as she left, her ears echoing with words that seemed to be echoing in the air. Polaris. Looking up, the brightest star in the night sky can guide lost passers-by in the right direction in the dark night. But Yang Yu believed that what this Ice Queen said was definitely not that simple. The North Star, the star in the universe of the elf world, I know, is it? It is said that the wishing star Jiraki will sleep for thousands of years and wake up when the comet streaks across the night sky. In the reverse world, if you enter that space, the only sky you can see is the dark night sky, and the dark night sky can guide the direction. There are only stars. Wish star Jiraki and the reversal world. No, the reversal world still belongs to the elf world, which is equivalent to a space in the entire universe. In the reversal world, Jiraki can still appear, as long as it opens its sleeping eyes. Yeah. Sitting on the top of Mount Everest, Yang Yu's figure may gradually look a little lonely. However, beside him, all the elves, with Yang Yu as the center, were quietly waiting for Yang Yu, waiting for Yang Yu's thinking at this time. The Ice Queen has been guarding Mount Everest for so many years, and maybe she has an indissoluble bond with the starry sky here. She reminded me like this. Yang Yu was deeply shocked. This secret? It seems that there are no such secret records in the Elf Alliance. The only visible ones are the rumors of the wishing star is seen once in 1,000 years. This gift is a bit big. This news may not be of much help to others. Even if they know that the star the Ice Queen refers to is the wishing star Jiriki, there is no way or clue. However, Yang Yu knew another way to wake up Jiriki in advance. Only somewhat harsh. It even requires a rare chance of success. Has the Venerable told Venerable Yang Yu about this matter? Why does the Venerable believe in him so much? I'm not very clear in my heart, but the fact that becoming a king-level trainer happened to Yang Yu, a young man who is less than 22 years old, is a miracle in itself. Why can't I believe in another miracle? Woolen cloth. Ice Queen Wang Tongbing was deeply focused in the courtyard. In the recent decades of guarding Mount Everest, every guardian here has extremely profound knowledge about the sky and the stars. About the wishing star Jiriki. This secret may be recalled from a night on Mount Everest more than 20 years ago. Is it a dream? Ice Queen Wang Tongbing herself doesn't know. This feeling has never been so strong, especially after learning from the Dragon Messenger that Yang Yu has mastered the Z power that transcends the times. The Ice Queen feels that the dream she once had is even gradually becoming a bit real. Jiriki awakens with the times. A new era is coming, and the trainer Yang Yu who started this new era, could he be the one who awakened Jiriki in advance? The night sky is silent. Only the bright North Star was still shining brightly at this time. Salted Fish King, do you still remember the little star I sang to you before? Salted Fish King, Sigma. Yang Yu couldn't help but smile bitterly as he spoke. If I really want to talk about it? The way to awaken Jiriki in Yang Yu's memory is to use the true and pure voice of the elf world to resonate with Jiriki's heart. Yang Yu doesn't think that his singing voice is that true and pure voice. If I say this, everyone will laugh at SKR. Seeing that Yang Yu stopped talking and began to shut up, the Salted Fish King, who was staring at the big and small eyes at the top, breathed a sigh of relief. Not to mention Twinkle, 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 Jing Jing, Salted Fish King still remembers Little White Rabbit, white and white, but there is a saying, listening to Yang Yu sing is not as good as Salted Fish King. I promise. Hold the audience. Bowley. At this time, Jigglypuff opened his eyes wide and round. Little Stars. This was a song Jigglypuff had never heard before. Boom. Fatty took Yang Yu's arm and shook it, as if he was coquettishly pulling Yang Yu to listen to Little Star. Is it too dangerous to sing here? Yang Yu looked down silently. They are the highest on the top of Mount Everest. What if they cannot control themselves and trigger some great power? Twinkle twinkle little stars, how I wonder where you are. Yang Yu hugged Jigglypuff cross-legged, Jigglypuff held Digipi, and Little Dream Demon sat on Jigglypuff's head. Yang Yu swayed from side to side, murmuring softly at the same time, raised his head, and his eyes fell on the North Star. In the reverse world, the North Star is our guiding light. Pokemon's Character Master. Author, Ai Ren Huo Chiang Shao. Chapter 1034. Hum hum hum. Yang Yu found an extra pair of hands in front of his mouth. The frog didn't know where the courage came from, so he directly pinched Yang Yu's upper and lower lips with his hands. With a little force, it even felt like it could reach the mouth of a duck. Probably the feeling of being almost sung to death by Little Jumping Frog is still vivid in my mind. Bang! Slash! The Little Dream Demon reached out and slapped the frog's hand away. This is a world-class beautiful song. Little Dream Demon has never been able to hear it before, but it was interrupted at this time. How can I bear this? Quack quack quack. The croak-headed frog was so frightened that he hid behind Dudu. It can't afford to offend the little dream monster, not only the lightning on the fingertips, but also the super bodyguard Mimi Kyokyu. None of them can be offended by the frog. The scene at this time was like children fighting for the remote control, rushing to change the channel. In the end, the Little Dream Demon child naturally won. Yeah. Dada stretched out his hand and patted the frog's back gently, but the corner of his eye suddenly stopped. Roar. In the sky above Mount Everest, It seems like something is beginning to distort the space here at the top of the extreme north. The scattered snowflakes were vaguely visible in the sky. At this moment, they seemed to be pulled by an inexplicable force, spiraling in the air. Space crack. Yang Yu immediately put down Jigglypuff, who was holding Tijipai in his arms, and stood up with a serious expression. Yang Yu had seen a lot of space cracks, but the space cracks that suddenly tore open the night in front of Yang Yu seemed to be targeted. Is the reverse world coming? But Yang Yu looked around. If the world were reversed, there would be floating islands in the eternal night above the dome. Obviously, it was not as simple as Yang Yu imagined. Darkrai, go and ask Cresselia to take care of Xiao Yu. Yang Yu suppressed his tone and frowned. At this time, the little dream demon was standing on Yang Yu's hair with his hands on his hips, angrily reaching out to the sky and constantly accusing him. This was a good thing for disturbing the little dream demons listening to the song. However, what Yang Yu didn't expect was Darkrai's murmurs made his breathing become more serious. How could it be that the space rift in the time world came to the elf world first? Darkrai's loss of voice obviously made the atmosphere at this moment even more tense. Wait, could it be? A flash of light flashed in Yang Yu's mind. The reverse world has arrived earlier than before. Here, the rules of time have been greatly affected, causing the space where Dial Ga is located, also accidentally came to the elf world for the same reason. During the conversation between Yang Yu and Darkrai, a Milky Way like a water curtain appeared in the night sky of Mount Everest. The law of time emerged from the cracks in space. The Milky Way surged, and the stars flowed with the light and shadow of the river. Staggered. People sleeping at night under Mount Everest seemed unaware of what was happening in the outside world, but in the main hall on the mountainside, the alarm bell sounded inside the hall. Sir, what happened? The space-time rift leading from outside the elven world to the elven world. Is it a precursor to the coming of the reverse world? Ice Queen Wang Tongbing also thought that this was the arrival of the reverse world for the first time, but the next second, she rejected her idea. Space cracks. It doesn't just appear with the advent of the reverse world. Because in the elf world, in addition to the reverse world, there is also the time world and the space world. Behind them, they respectively represent the two gods of the world. Is it Dial Ga or Pakia? The Elf Alliance across China maintained a first-level alert state. At this time, the strange phenomenon in the night sky of Mount Everest was immediately received at the Yanjing headquarters. The early arrival of the reversal world not only affects our side, but also affects time and space. The situation is somewhat out of control. If we really face God Alyaka, Pakia, and Emperor Juriti at the same time, N.A. how can we compete with the power of trainers from the elf world? Perhaps this is how the king-level trainer feels powerless. Sometimes, destiny is not in your own hands. Because I don't have the absolute power to control my destiny. We must find more radiant stones and Z-pure crystals as soon as possible. The power of super evolution may help us to be able to barely support it for the time being, but the most important thing is the final blow. Dragon Messenger Xiaz Hepeng is not a belligerent king, but from his position and perspective, if there is a necessary duel, even when faced with Giratina, he will never retreat. Perhaps this is the responsibility carried by the title of the first heavenly king of China. Magic City, Ghost Tower. The power of the ghost system is getting stronger day by day. At the moment when the reverse world and the elf world officially communicate, our ghost tower must control the vast ghost tide and guide, not fight. Just like how Deo controlled the water, we can only guide. Master of the Netherworld Hall has contacted Master Lan. Master Lan is currently leading the super elves at the border of the Magic City, preparing to check the power of the super enchantment in the city. The waves in the Huangpu River that may be caused by the tide are already being controlled. Among Elven Alliance, Zi Lao and Mo Lao have personally gone to the front line. In the Everest area, a large number of trainers in their 70s who were once all-powerful will gather. The era is not over yet. When it comes to big things, someone has to stand up. The precursor of the space cracks on Mount Everest attracted the attention of the Global Elf Alliance. Immediately, the Elf Alliances around the world were confirming whether there was a second obvious space crack in their own areas. North America, New York. The sky suddenly changed color, and the pink clouds filled with mist made the broad daylight instantly fall into a gradually dimming light. A wise man in North America once proposed to lever the elven world to stop the entire world from rotating, so that North America could stay in the daytime forever. Now, on the eve of the arrival of the reverse world, the darkness of eternal night has not yet arrived, and the cracks in space make the day at this moment more like a daydreaming dream world, appearing absurd and unreal. Special Elf Security Research Institute. In a deep secret laboratory. Our era will eventually come, and Professor Planzaisen's last wish will appear in my hands. The god of time, the god of space, and, the Dragon King Giratina, the elf world is not just about you, but also the gods created by us humans. Under his increasingly crazy eyes, in the glass energy shield in front of Dr. Mecha, there is a mysterious elf filled with energy pipes. It is bathed in azure liquid, and its rising and falling chest is vaguely visible. Ultron's Dream. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Pokemon's Character Master. Author, Ai Ren Huoqiang Xiao. Chapter 1035. A beam of light enveloped Yang Yu and his elves. Almost without any control, when Yang Yu stretched out his hand to block the dazzling light in front of his eyes, he lowered his arm again, and the scene in front of him began to become a little mysterious. It's just like, after being pulled by the light of the universe, he was teleported to somewhere. Where is this place? Yang Yu asked in a deep voice. The only one who can explain it to him here is Darkrai. The stars in this sky represent time nodes in the long river of time. This is the corridor of memories. The space controlled by the flow of time is the power of Dialga. Darkrai's voice was more serious than ever. Even when he faced the furious Cresselia, he didn't have such a look on his face. Maybe it's because not a good memory of playing against each other. Have you ever fought against Dialga? Yang Yu's mind moved, and he had such a memory in his mind. That memory came to mind when Yang Yu saw Darkrai for the first time, but what Yang Yu never expected was that the Darkrai he saw and what he remembered basically had nothing but appearance. Where they overlap. Darkrai was not surprised that Yang Yu said this. The gods in the elven world have more or less intersections, and fighting is naturally indispensable. That's not a good memory. Dialga's power of time controls the powerful flow of time, which is simply a bug-like existence in the battle between elves, especially in this world composed of time flow, where the rules of time are controlled by Dialga. Did you win? Yang usually asked. It should be considered a win. Dialga's most powerful move, Roar of Time, may not be the most terrifying. The most terrifying thing should be time and space retrieval. This move can make himself and his opponent go back in time to be equal in time and space. The first elf form. The corners of Darkrai's eyes twitched. Obviously, this memory poked a bit of pain in him. In other words, once he uses this move, if the opponent is Yang Yu's Salted Fish King, then the Salted Fish King will return to the form of the Carp King, even if Dialga's strength will decrease along with the opponent's strength, returning to Dialga in his childhood, he is still Dialga. Damn it, you still have this kind of move. Yang Yu moved his throat in shock. Isn't this a shameless trick? Even if Dialga is a young Dialga, his own race value will still not change. In the virtual data, it is still a terrifying value of 680. But what about the Salted Fish King? From Gyarados degrading to Magikarp. Magic ERP's racial value of 220 points. In terms of physical attack ability, it only has a pitiful 10 points. Then Darkrai, how did you defeat Dialga? Yang Yu simply couldn't imagine that if Dialga really mastered such a move, he would be almost truly invulnerable and invincible in battle. Who am I? I am Darkrai, the Nightmare God. I can create dreams. Even in my childhood, I can still control the power of dreams. I may not be able to defeat Dialga with my strength, but in the spiritual world, Dialga in his childhood is comparable to the adult Dialga. Luca is too weak, I can even control dreams and make Palkia appear. Yang Yu. Sure enough, there are some operations in the elf world that Yang Yu cannot imagine, but such a premise must be based on absolute strength. Otherwise, if you are not careful, you may become a speck of dust in time. Looks like you have to be careful here. Yang Yu didn't know what was going on in the long river of time scattered in the sky with stars as nodes in front of him, but now in the space of Dialga, the god of time, it was difficult for him to control his destiny. Poppy. Tijipai stood on tiptoes and reached out to pull Jigglypuff's hand, making Jigglypuff feel a little better as he was about to shrink into a ball. Jigglypuff felt that in this world, not a pretty place for it. There are no good memories in its life experience. At least before the time when he met Yang Yu, which was also the time when his fate changed, Jigglypuff's memory of time had always been in his own decadent life. Alu. Behind the space crack above Mount Everest, there are natural rules that do not belong to the elf world. Day is using superpower to touch the time flow in it. The mysterious power, even if Day now has a powerful understanding of nature, is still unable to understand the mysteries. So why are we able to come to this place? Yang Yu held his breath and concentrated. Maybe, bad luck. Darkrai reached out and touched his chin. Yang Yu. Tijipai is here, what the hell are you saying is bad luck? Just when Yang Yu was about to complain about Darkrai, the galaxy in front of him suddenly turned into waves, and the starlight emitted a cobalt blue mysterious light from the galaxy. Darkrai, you bug hiding in dreams. Silver gray enchanting steel, like sharp tentacles, winds from the head to the back. In the river of stars, a giant beast of time and space slowly emerges. The dark gray eyelids, behind the red irises, the dark pupils exude a strange aura, and a high-pitched air wave comes out from the nose with 3 black lines. At this moment, it is like a god descending from the sea of stars. God of time Dialga. Yang Yu finally understood what this bad luck meant. It's because Darkrai followed Yang Yu. Or, if Darkrai did not exist in Yang Yu's shadow space, Yang Yu might not even be able to see Dialga. So, this kind of luck is one of a kind. The beast of time is like a giant dragon made of spar. On Dialga's chest, the pentagonal cobalt blue gem vaguely releases a terrifying dragon-type aura. The galaxy vibrates and waves rise. Roar. Facing the divine majesty of Dialga, the salted fish king suddenly turned his giant shadow. The supergiant Gyarados salty fish king, who possesses the super era Z power and the power of primitive regression and super evolution, with the body of a salted fish, is comparable to a god at this moment. Yeah. Standing next to Xian, this chubby pink figure stood blankly and had already put on his hat. Yi. The big beauty looked sideways slightly. A glance at the stars makes the stars seem like 9 heavens. Under the light, there was only the scattered and scarlet bloody tail. At this moment, the fighting power was at full strength. Looking at Dialga, whose chest was emitting cobalt blue light, the little dream demon let the red fear orb on his chest shine in response. Ho ho ho. Tiny Burmese's strongest form, Super Tiny Burmese is ready. Mimi Kyokyu, the power of painted skin, is always ready to block the most fatal blow for the little dream monster. Human, do you want to provoke the wrath of the god of time? Dialga snorted coldly. Jigglypuff's curled figure was now spread out. Because Jigglypuff's world changed when he met Yang Yu. Yang Yu's world is its world. If you want to fight. So. Just hold on to the microphone. Mif. Any elf that blocks Harkron from finding his mother, Minas, is a bad guy. Quack quack quack. Start clocking in as a trainer. Author, Happy Little Boss. The author of the Elf Plane Chat Group, Xiao Deijia's new book. Introduction. The elves came to reality, and in the distant sea, Groudon and Kyogre were fighting. Wak, Laugu, look at the flying turkey in the sky. Fart. That special meow steps on the air and uses the hysteresis of the air to walk in the air like stepping on stairs. Would you do that? Won't. Then why are you still dazed? Hurry up and learn. After you finish learning, you can go to heaven. Oh, here we come, brother. Pokemon's Character Master. Author, AI Renhuo Xiangxiao. Chapter 1036. In the long stream of time when the brilliance gathered, Dialga's eyes were like scarlet pupils in the darkness, and the two lines of dense energy flying in the corners of the eyes were like flying anger. Darkrai. This despicable and shameless nightmare god who can only control dreams. Tamp. The layers of sound waves mixed with the flow of time are full of Dialga's anger at this time, but amidst the roar of the elves, Yang Yu's salted fish king is not frightened at all. Roar. Each wave is higher than the other. No matter it's an elf battle or something, fighting or not fighting, the most important thing before the battle is unparalleled momentum. Dialga is in his own world, the god of time, and he is the god of this time world, and this is his territory. Only. Why would a Gyarados from the outside world dare to offend the angry god's reverse scale? In the tense confrontation, Darkrai really didn't want to fight with Dialga. There was nothing else but that the fight was too tiring, and Darkrai's expression changed slightly. Dialga's time world left an extremely deep impression on Darkrai. After all, Darkrai received a severe beating in this time world. If Darkrai hadn't used the slippery form of his substitute and some Tianxiu operations, Darkrai wouldn't have been able to do it in a head-to-head situation. He is Dialga's opponent. There is a saying that the people who know you best are not your friends, but your enemies. Darkrai's understanding of Dialga's time world is even deeper than Dialga's in a certain sense. For example, some details in place. Dialga, your world, the edge barrier is unstable. Darkrai once used the weakness of the barrier on the edge of the time world to introduce the power of his dream world to fight against Dialga in Dialga's world. At this time, Darkrai keenly discovered that the edge of Dialga's time world. It's just like. It looked like it was invaded by some kind of spirit. Darkrai, shut up. Dialga's eyes were like gunpowder that instantly ignited the fuse, and Darkrai's words were like poking it in the painful leg. This made Dialga, who was in an extremely bad mood, add fuel to the fire, and his anger was suddenly released. Boom. Looking at the terrifying white beam of light that shot out at the slightest disagreement, Yang Yu immediately realized that Dialga was very similar to what he remembered, and he had a particularly strong sense of his own territory. Darkrai's words. Yang Yu believes that Darkrai is not just talking randomly, but the problem is something special is going to happen. Wuko, Dialga, why didn't you take action without telling me in advance? Darkrai felt the extremely familiar breath of the moves in the time world, as if the instinct hidden deep inside his body was instantly aroused. Black hole. Yeah. Dede immediately used teleportation, but a black halo of light appeared beside him, even faster than his shot. Darkrai appears in the shadow space. Darkrai. Yang Yu's mind was deeply shocked at this moment. Darkrai took action. In Yang Yu's first impression, every time Darkrai made a move, it seemed that it was a little funny. Whether it was the first time he saw Darkrai, he was taught a lesson by Gengui, and the second time he was probably scolded by him. Cresselia pressed hard and hit. But now, this black figure, who felt a little thin, stretched out his hand to resist Dialga's attack. Black hole. The dark circle of light that appeared in front of Darkrai, just like the name of the move, was like a bottomless pit, absorbing and pulling in the endless energy of Dialga's moves. It's as if the power in the move is expelled and disintegrated. Roar. Facing Dialga's sudden attack, his dull protection, and the Darkrai black hole's restraint on Dialga, the looming red on the blue body of the Salted Fish King was instantly covered with scarlet battle scales. Red Lotus form. Such a giant Gyarados appeared in front of him. Its body exuded the power of burning anger. Dialga was horrified. At the same time, the silver-gray wingspan behind him fanned a huge flow of time, distorting the time in the space and transforming it. Create a brilliant wall to block the attack of the Salted Fish King. What is this? Dialga felt the wall of time and space created by the flow of time, and even after such a collision with the Salted Fish King, there were signs of collapse. This made Dialga, a godly elf with a body as hard as steel. Cognition is instantly refreshed. It's not that Dialga underestimated his enemy. During the devilish training that the Salted Fish King conducted on Mount Everest to prepare for the Z-move Ultimate Dragon Shock, the impact again and again, and the pain again and again, made the ordinary move Salted Fish Thrust become more powerful than before. Horrible. More importantly, after activating the Z power to perform the Z move, Salted Fish Stab has a whole new level of power. Ho ho ho. Facing the almost identical wall of time, Xiao Baobao and Male want to break out of this wall, but their strength needs to be further improved. The disconnected time stream, the black hole that divides power. It was as if the world in front of Yang Yu was split into two. If you can avoid fighting, of course it would be best not to fight. Yang Yu is not a warlike person, but the situation at this moment does not allow Yang Yu to back down. The Z bracelet and Z pure crystal in his hand are the trump cards that even Darkrai will fall for this power. It's just that Yang Yu remembered Darkrai's previous reminder. Dialga's almost rogue move. Once that moment is reached, Yang Yu has no way to crack the situation of time backtracking. If all the elves fought against Dialga in their original form, then, the last hope is Darkrai. Dialga, an elf with steel and dragon attributes, this damn resistance. Yang Yu will never forget that after combining the two attributes of steel and dragon, almost most of the moves with attributes will have more or less resistance when hitting the steel dragon. In addition to the effective output of fighting and ground systems, Dialga's unprovoked anger also confirms the authenticity of Darkrai's words. The time world where Dialga is located has been invaded by unknown elves. What kind of elf is it? It is Palu, the god of space. Killua. While Yang Yu was thinking about countermeasures, the thoughts in his mind were running even faster. No, if it was Palkia, Dialga wouldn't come against us. Their battle would really be a matter of life and death, but other than Palkia, what other elves can have such power? Did the Dark Dragon King Giratina accept it? Darkrai, who could sense Yang Yu's thoughts, was extremely shocked by Yang Yu's thoughts while using Black Hole. This human trainer. Who is it? Why do you know these secrets so well? But now is not the time for Darkrai to think too much. The time flow around Dialga showed a horrifyingly distorted picture. Like a clock, the hands around Dialga completed a circle. When the nihilistic pointer rotates rapidly, the wave-like and irregular twisting force causes the time world to be shaken by the law of time. The long river of time, at this moment, stopped flowing in an instant. The ancient and solemn roar like a copper bell belongs to the oppressive feeling of Dialga, the god of time and space. Darkrai will never forget that this can tear apart his black hole. Time and space roar. Salted Fish King, return to the original, Divine Dragon Destruction / Pokemon's Character Master. Author, Ai Ren Huo Xiang Xiao. Chapter 1037. Time Roars. In the Elven world, only Dialga can master and use the moves, and the most terrifying thing is that the power of the moves surpasses the meteor swarm that the dragon elves in nature can learn. Like a peacock opening its tail, the wing-like rear fins on Dialga's back suddenly spread out like ferocious thorns. At the moment when the silver light bloomed, the cobalt blue gem on his chest bloomed with dazzling light. The condensed time flow converged from the gem to, in Dialga's steel-like throat, an orange light flashed across his eyes. The cobalt blue spherical energy exploded like a beam. Boom! The cold roar of time seemed to let the power of time turn the airborne landing ahead into nothingness. Everything seemed to disappear without a trace in the passage of time. The salted fish king felt the terrifying pressure coming towards him. He had almost never felt such terrible pressure. The extinguishing time beam in his eyes was beyond his imagination. But it was this majestic aura of a dragon spirit that made the salted fish king hold his head high proudly, showing off his heroic figure. Roar. Thunder. Anger. In this time world where lightning has never appeared, at this moment, the dark sky seems to have struck down a beam of light that can tear open the dark sky. Turn anger into thunder. The extremely powerful thunder power of the salted fish king is overloaded with the burning anger in his body. This is the almost maximum thunder power of the salted fish king. Only by using all his strength can he have a chance to resist Dialga. The roar of time and space. The evil aura is coming in a surge. Just like the changes in Dialga's body, the anger flowing like lava behind the salted fish king ignited the scales all over his body, and at the same time, the original evil power suppressed in the body broke free at this moment. Behemoth. Prehistoric beast. In Dialga's angry eyes, endless astonishment flashed across. Because in the original state of return to super evolution, the body size of the salted fish king is rising steadily, increasing in size layer by layer. Several dark black evil auras rippling under the ferocious eyes make the intimidating aura of the salted fish king reverberate in the space. Blazing fire, sharp thunder. Divine dragon destruction / this move that once shined in the secret realm of Sky City, burns the anger of the salted fish king, and in this cold flow of time, like the brilliance of dawn, it instantly lights up the world of time. Not good. Darkray's sky blue pupils suddenly shrank. The collision of the superpower and the energy aftermath will inevitably cause fluctuations in time cracks in the area where Yangyu is located. Having experience in the previous duel with Dialga, Darkray knew how terrifying the time and space turbulence caused by the time rift would be. Yangyu, and the remaining elves, come to my dream space. The battle between Dialga and the salted fish king will cause terrible time turbulence in the time world. Once involved, it will cause many irreversible changes. In the time turbulence, even the king of heaven. Darkray, can your dream space allow me to command the salted fish king? Darkray was startled and shook his head. If it's in the external elf world, maybe it's possible, but in Dialga's time world and the rules here, I can't do it. I can only wait until this battle is over before letting you come out. Forget it, this battle between elves has no meaning in itself. Dialga's time world is not our main purpose. Even though Yangyu had thousands of reluctances in his heart, at this time, the arrow was on the string and he had to shoot. The sky in the world of time and space fell into eternal whiteness. The roaring shockwave of time and space and the intertwined time flow of circles came across the sky. The dragon-shaped power transformed from thunder and fury in the Shenlong destruction / faced Dialga's most powerful force. The terrifying power was instantly defeated and disintegrated by the roaring power of time and space. At the critical moment when the cobalt blue space-time light beam bombarded, the superpower floating in a daze was released instantly. The figure of the salted fish king disappeared like a shadow in the sky, and in an instant, it followed him again like a shadow. Teleport. Standing still at the moment when the energy beam of the salted fish king's divine dragon destruction / was blasted to pieces, I rescued the salted fish king who was facing the terrifying power of the dragon. Time and space are stagnant, move instantly, king slow. Dialga's eyes suddenly turned ferocious. If it weren't for slow king, under Dialga's roar of time and space, even the supergiant Gyarados with the original power of return would still have to suffer huge damage from the roar of time and space. However, there was one thing Dialga did not expect. There are elves who anticipate a certain critical moment, transcending the time of this moment. Predict future. Dialga's roar instantly caused a huge wave under the dim light of time. The wings behind him suddenly contracted, but in the next second, they suddenly branched out, and the light was even more ferocious than before. Yeah. The golden conch cap on the dull head is exuding a hot atmosphere in the golden light. That's right. During the battle, Dede laid the foundation for superpowers in advance. In uncertain battles, the power of predicting the future can transcend the constraints of time and the rules of time, and gain a slim chance of winning in a difficult duel. Only in Dialga, in front of the god of time, an advance of the future can be effective and can help Xian get rid of the lock of the roar of time and space, but after this time, Dialga manipulates time and completely blocks time in the surrounding space. Predict future. Yang Yu was as frightened as Dialga at the moment. This move. Yang Yu's own mind would occasionally light up with the golden light of predicting the future, but predicting the future would bring irreparable costs to the present. Once upon a time, Lao Hudi's premature aging reduced his original long lifespan, and finally he had to fight to the death to complete super evolution. The most critical thing was to overuse the ability to predict the future. Do this stupidly. At this moment, the super powerful purple light lingered around the stunned body, and at the same time, his right hand touched the body of the salted fish king. If you look closer, you can see that the place where Dede's right hand touches is exactly the Dede mark on the body of the salted fish king. Why predict the future? This answer was already left in the former aquarium when Xiaobai used his mind power to attack the white sea lion and blocked Xiangxian's attack. Alu. This is the first time Dede has fully used the ability to predict the future. After the move, the thoughts in the golden conch cap felt vaguely tired. Roar. King Xianxian didn't have time to thank him, so he just patted Xiangxian's back gently. The danger is not over yet. Just watch them confront Dialga in the time world. I can't do such a thing. The salted fish king has mastered the Z move, facing Dialga. In Yang Yu's hand, there was a pure purple crystal. Foreknowledge of the future will cause certain damage to Dude, but Z moves will not. Z moves will only make the trainer collapse at most. 2 Z moves in a row. If I had known, Reggie Locke would have to grind a little more, huh? Maybe it really has the title of Lord of the Rings. Let us unite our hearts and minds. Even Dialga, even the god of time, cannot resist the power of the bond between humans and elves in the elven world. In Dialga's eyes, he noticed the human being who was as small as an ant. What does he want to do? I went to the hospital for a follow-up checkup on weekends, and my condition was basically good. I recommend a book from behind. My wife is a female high school scholar. I met a female top student on a blind date and accidentally offended her. And she actually lives right across the door. Daily style, a little relaxed, a little humorous, a little warm. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Pokemon's Character Master. Author, Ai Ren Huoqiang Xiao. Chapter 1038. This is. Darkrai noticed with keen eyes that human trainer Yang Yu had a dark purple pure crystal in his hand. During the period of following Yang Yu, Darkrai knew that this was the Z pure crystal belonging to the super energy system. Wait, this is going to. Darkrai will not forget that Yang Yu will become mentally depressed after using the Z move once. This situation will last for a period of time. Even if the subsequent use of the Z move can control his mental strength, looking at Yang Yu's appearance, this is to perform Z moves twice in a row. Is there any limit to such a move that can make Darkray's soul unbelievable and terrifying? Limit. Right on the human trainer. Only young, only young. Stupid human, what do you want to do? Darkray's heart trembled. Yang Yu smiled softly, facing Dialga, the supreme god of the time world. It was very rare to be able to maintain such a situation with the power of Salted Fish King and Dede alone. However, in the time world, Dialga can continuously obtain the power of the time world. How long can the Salted Fish King and Dede last? What is missing now is the final word. Only if Dialga is feared, only if Dialga knows how powerful the human trainer Yang Yu is, Dialga will not act rashly. The power beyond the times. Yang Yu felt extremely calm. At the moment when he chose to take out the Super Z Pure Crystal, Yang Yu recalled something in his mind. In the secret realm of Sky City, the North American trainer Astrid who abandoned her elf and ran away regardless of the safety of her elf. Similar to the image of Yang Yu holding the Super Z Pure Crystal tightly in his hand, while the Z bracelet dimly lit up with the light of the Dragon-type Z Pure Crystal, there was also the magic fairy wand held tightly in the little dream demon's hand. In the magic wand that exudes the light of the netherworld, Agurado's megastone is gradually becoming clearer. At this moment, it is slowly rotating, brewing an upcoming pink storm. Even Dialga, the god of time world. We want to call you too. Stupid. The roar that tore apart the flow of time was hysterical, but full of strong fighting spirit. Yeah. Turning his back towards Yang Yu, together with Xian Xian, he faced Dialga's stupidity, and at this moment, he was nearby, ready for action. When the wind blows, the palm grows. In the long river of time, two magical and weird black and white fish seemed to flow around Dudu. The rippling water waves, the gradually rising water ring, a Tai Chi diagram, blooming like a brilliance. Superpowers, fighting. In the dojo of Phaeacian Fighting Gym, Dede has never forgotten the practice of fighting moves. The power of the wave guide, a bridge, the super aura that instantly unfolded from behind Dudu, and the Z bracelet raised on Yang Yu's arm, inlaid with Super Z pure crystals, at this moment. Resonance. What is this? How is this possible? Dialga swept through the time flow that controlled the surrounding enchantment, and clearly felt a terrifying force that even he had never seen before, and his world was slowly taking shape. When will humans be able to use something like this? Not good. Even at this moment, the outline of time that Dialga used was blocked by an unspeakable force. The orange pupils turned scarlet in an instant. In the past, Darkray had subjected Dialga to such a restrained power, this kind of strength that was like being held in shackles, this feeling of being completely powerless. Dialga was extremely familiar with it. Likewise, I hate it so much. But when a huge bottle of Dharma entity condensed with purple-red superpower gradually appeared behind the Slow King, whether it was Dialga or Darkray, including Yang Yu who was using Z power at this time, at this moment, everyone's eyes were wide open. This is something Yang Yu never thought of. The ultimate dragon shakes the world, and the dragon-type Z move uses substantial power to transform into a bottle of divine dragon. But Yang Yu never expected that a bottle of Dede Dharma appearance would appear behind him. Just the extremely thick and broad back of the Faxiang made Yang Yu feel at ease for a while, but what made Yang Yu feel most incredible was the movements of the Dujafas Yang at this time. Should I shout the supreme spiritual destruction wave or? Come on, God Palm. The Z power, which has absolutely dominant superpower attributes, is displayed in Dede's mind at this moment, more like a power full of fighting style. But Yang Yu looked at the dull Dharma image in front of him, with its giant head emitting golden light. For a moment, he thought he was being purified by the holy light in the Buddha's light. Did I get the wrong Z pure crystal? Yang Yu's mind was a little down at this moment. But the Z pure crystal on my Z bracelet is truly super powerful. With Dede sitting upright and behind Dede, the extreme power of the super attribute gave Dialga an absolute shock in his eyes at this moment. How is this possible? What kind of power is this? Darkrai was also a little dumbfounded for a moment when he looked at the super power behind him that was pregnant with the aura of the fighting system. Super elves themselves have bug power in the elven world, but in front of evil elves, super power is like a joke. What did Darkrai see? The Dede method, accompanied by Dede's movements, pushed out a palm in the direction of Dialga. Darkrai didn't have any doubt at all. With this palm strike, he was afraid that he would be beaten out of his substitute. Dialga's shock was still not over, because just after the Super Z power was activated, even though Yang Yu felt the void in front of his eyes, he still did not stop. Switch Z moves. Using the Super Z pure crystal first, the Super Z can create a short super space in this time world, just like what Darkrai said before about his battle with Dialga. It is impossible for Yang Yu to ignore the details. Controlling the field is important. It's field control. It's just that Yang Yu didn't expect that the stupid Z move could actually have such a miraculous effect. The supreme spiritual destructive wave would be resisted by the strong resistance when faced with Dialga, who had the Steel Dragon attribute. However, he had a master's style of Kung Fu. Dumb, how could he disappoint Yang Yu? The effect beyond field control. Then, the world-shaking power of the Salted Fish King's ultimate dragon is even more needed. Salted Fish King. Let our hearts and powers be united. My heart is as iron and indestructible. Perhaps Darkrai once laughed at the awkward dance in the eyes of outsiders, but after seeing such power, he couldn't laugh anymore. The only expression on his face. Sad face, lying on the grass. The flow of time in the long river of time is making huge waves at this moment. The Salted Fish King charged with all his strength, and the palm he pushed forward blankly made the whole world tremble. Dialga's eyes were about to burst. Such a move that could block his power appeared in the world of time. This made the god of time completely angry at this moment. He doesn't know. How long can such a move be used? Dialga's mind was burned by anger. All that was left in his mind was anger. He only knows. He doesn't like this feeling. When the silver gray light on Dialga's body emitted a cold light like falling ice at this moment, the surrounding time flow seemed to be frozen thousands of miles away, and the whole world was about to fall into dust. Oops! Darkray's heart thumped. Dialga's most terrifying move is also the scene that Darkrai is most worried about. Happened. What's wrong, Darkrai? Yang Yu couldn't help feeling faintly panicked. The golden light in his mind, which rarely lit up during this period, belonged to the power of predicting the future, suddenly lit up at this moment. Time backward. Dialga froze the flow of time and went back in time. Quick, quick, I have to go. Darkrai didn't have time to say more. Dialga's most terrifying move has only been experienced by Darkrai. During Dialga's time rewind, Salty King and Slowpoke returned to the forms of Carp King and Slowpoke. Again, how could he be Dialga's opponent? Even if Dialga's power will also be weakened due to time regression. Only when Darkrai follows the Salty Fish King and Slow King into that time rewinded world can Darkrai have the chance to protect the safety of Slowman and Carp King. Only Darkrai has such experience. However, when the long river of time turned into a glacier, the frozen time flow turned the time world in front of us into nothingness in the ice and snow. No. Darkrai was one step late. Dialga's frozen barrier of time retrieval is now complete. In the time world in front of Yang Yu, the Salted Fish King and the dumb figures, including the figure of Dialga, seems to have disappeared. Salted Fish King. Yang Yu subconsciously called out. There was no sound in reply. Dumb. The world of time is quiet. Only the completely frozen time in front of him told Yang Yu that everything that happened before him was real. Salted Fish King? Dude. Where have you been? Yi. De Male, whose eyes were searching everywhere, suddenly began to panic in her heart at the moment when the Salted Fish King and the dumb figure disappeared. Uy. Long calling, no news. Dark Ray, Dark Ray. The world where time is frozen, the world where time goes back, where is, Yang Yu experienced the use of Z moves twice. At this moment, his physical strength was almost gone, but the uneasiness in my heart is getting stronger and stronger. With a moment of weakness at his feet, at this moment, Yang Yu seemed to hear only the nervous voices of Little Dream Demon and Jigglypuff. Little Dream Monster, come to sleep. The ghostly power swept up, and the figure surrounding the Little Dream Demon gradually sneaked into Yang Yu's dream. However, what the Little Dream Demon saw before his eyes was still nothingness. Where is Yang Yu? Where is her master Yang Yu? Where did Yang Yu go? The world goes back in time. Hey, where is this place? Why does it look so familiar? Yang Yu scratched his head, looking at this inexplicably familiar place but not knowing where he was filled with doubts for a moment. Hangcheng, Momo Ocean Park. Yang Yu took a few steps forward in front of him and saw the words Hangcheng Momo Ocean Park reminds you, the road is slippery on rainy days on the roadside sign. For a moment, his mind became clear. But that's not right. Am I not in the time world? Did I fall asleep because I was too tired? Yang Yu was a little confused. But the surrounding environment inexplicably made Yang Yu a little scared. What happened here? Why is there not even a water elf? Is there anyone here? Yang Yu called several times, but no one responded. It was quiet all around. Apart from in the sky, there was a scene like black clouds looming over the city. On the bright ground, Yang Yu's surroundings seemed to fall into darkness instantly. When Yang Yu raised his head, Emperor, Dial Ga. What surprised Yang Yu was that Dial Ga didn't seem to notice his presence, nor did he hear his extremely surprised voice. More importantly, the Dial Ga in front of Yang Yu seemed to be the same as what he had seen before. Has Dial Ga shrunk? But, what is he doing in Hangcheng Momo Ocean Park? Yang Yu only felt that the whole ground began to tremble like an earthquake. The next second, his heartbeat suddenly accelerated. Yang Yu's eyes were like light bulbs, staring in one direction. Shallow water area number 2. There are Dede and Salted Fish King. Is this the world after time goes back? Dial Ga. What to do? Yang Yu remembered what Darkrai had mentioned before. After going back in time, the elves will return to their original state, but Dial Ga is still Dial Ga. Dial Ga. Want to take action against Slowpoke and Magikarp here. Yang Yu's heart felt like falling into an ice cellar at this moment. Even though Dial Ga has shrunk in size and weakened in strength at this time, his power can still destroy any building in Hangzhou Ocean Momo Park. In Yang Yu's eyes, Dial Ga. Raise your steel front feet and crush the sculpture in front of you. That's the direction of shallow water area number 2. That's where Dede and Salty Fish King met. Dede and Salty Fish King must be there, Dial Ga. Dial Ga, I'm here. Yang Yu didn't know why, but at this moment, even if there were no elves around him, even if he didn't even know what his situation was, he raised his hand and shouted loudly in this time travel world, I wanted to attract Dial Ga's attention, but Dial Ga still walked straight towards the number 2 shallow water area and trampled and crushed him mercilessly. Dial Ga, I'm here. Can't you see I'm here? In this world, Yang Yu, even if he roared endlessly and used all his strength, he still could not stop Dial Ga. There is no way to stop the pace of destroying Ocean Park and crushing the buildings of Ocean Park. Helpless. Even if this is a dream. Yang Yu didn't even want to see it. Stay still, Salted Fish King. Yang Yu ran here like crazy. Dial Ga's footsteps caused an earthquake, but it gave Yang Yu an extremely real feeling. There was no place to stand under his feet. Shallow water area number 2, shallow water area number 2. Yang Yu's mind was frantically recalling the location of shallow water area number 2. All he wanted now was to find Slowpoke and the Salted Fish King. Even if the world is destroyed, Yang Yu still wants to be with them. Dial Ga, if you dare to hurt Slowpoke and the Salty Fish King here, even if you are a god, I will kill you. I will destroy your only world. Yang Yu arrived. Shallow water area number 2. The dull pink figure was holding a carp in its arms, running happily with its feet in the shallow water. The wagging little tail, pink, swaying from side to side a little naughtily. Dede would lift Xian high from time to time, and sometimes, he would even grin. Dede and Xian are good friends. Only, the dullness here seems to feel something. Turn around and look at the door of the number 2 shallow water area employee. Yang Yu was in a daze, thinking back to the past. He moved in a daze, and at this moment, the Salted Fish King, who was holding his arms in his arms, ran towards him with a click, click, click sound. However, right in front of Yang Yu's eyes, a strong vibration came from the ground, causing the nostalgia on Yang Yu's face to change in an instant. Dedu, hold the Salted Fish King and run away, don't come here. Dumb, run quickly. Stupid. In Yang Yu's sight, the cobalt blue gem on Dial Ga's body had begun to light up with a roaring aura of time and space. The orange pupils in Dial Ga's eyes showed no expression at this time. Perhaps in Dial Ga's eyes. Slowpoke, Magi Carp. The elves in the world are almost the weakest elves, with no ability to resist. Even if you have a powerful power that surpasses the King of Heaven, so what? Before you grow up, you are extremely weak. Dedu, run quickly. Yang Yu's eyes were stunned. At this moment, he noticed Dial Ga's irresistible roar of time and space. While running, the moment when the energy beam of light pouring down from the roar of time and space. Hug the Salted Fish King tightly in your arms. Dedu will not let Xian get hurt. Only the roar of space and time that can destroy large buildings, with Slowpoke's thin body, how can it stop it? No. Yang Yu's throat was already hoarse. The shrill sounds, the shrill images, this kind of thing should not happen. Stay. Salted Fish King. Yang Yu comes from the heart, transcends the soul's calling power, from dreams, reality, and self. At this moment, unconsciously. Beyond time. In the elf world, if there is something that time cannot achieve, it must be eternity. In the elven world, what is eternity? That is the eternal bond between humans and elves. In Dial Ga's time travel world, under the cobalt blue energy beam, under a scene that looked like it was about to die, an extremely bright red appeared. If miracles had color, that must be carp red. Roar. Time goes back and the world collapses. Didn't expect it? Finally, I would like to recommend a book, I'm really not her disciple. The protagonist goes to the end of the mountain to become a disciple of the number 1 fairy by Zyro. The author is a serious person and does not step on the brakes. Pokemon's Character Master. Author, Ai Ren Huoqiang Xiao. Chapter 1039. Horsepower can be seen from a distance, and people's hearts can be seen from time to time. Time, even if the oceans and rocks rot away and the seas change, it cannot erase some sincere things. Dial Ga won with time, but lost to time, because this is a secret that it cannot understand. Perhaps, this is the point of fairness in the elf world. When the long river in the world of time melts like spring, the ice and snow melt, and the gurgling water seems to be soaked in a light fragrance. Such a weird picture, such an incredible picture, along with the reappearance of Dial-Ga, Salty Fish King, and Slow King, made Darkrai fall into incredible shock. This. How can it be? Dial-Ga was defeated by Slowpoke and Magikarp in his own time regression realm. Darkrai felt that his life had been in vain, especially the battle with Dial-Ga thousands of years ago. Darkrai also experienced the time travel world created by Dial-Ga, but at that time Darkrai's strength is at the peak level. At that time, he could hardly escape the shackles of the time travel world. This and this. How is it possible just with the power of Slowpoke and Magikarp? Yang Yu woke up from his dream, and even the little dream demon who entered Yang Yu's dream looking for Yang Yu was ejected from the dream like a cotton ball. He slapped Yang Yu's face, hoping that Yang Yu would wake up quickly. Bully. The painful thoughts on Fatty's face, and the hot tears in the corners of his eyes, fell along the fluff into the palm of Yang Yu's hand at this moment. When Yang Yu opened his eyes, the picture of time is like a lingering nightmare. But in that nightmare, Dudu and the Salted Fish King were still the same as before. Their deep friendship had not changed at all. Dial-Ga, stop it. The power, I don't know where it came from, maybe it was the strong effect. After Yang Yu exhausted all his strength, he still retained the last trace of strength. At this moment, he stood up. Do you want the world of time to be destroyed? Dial-Ga's eyes, which had been shocked by Slowpoke and Magikarp, or rather, the Slowpoke King and Salty Fish King in front of him, finally, noticed the real focus of this duel. Human trainer, Yang Yu. Roar. The Salted Fish King will never forget that after experiencing the scene in the time travel world, the anger in his eyes has burned to the extreme. The Salted Fish King will never forget that it was Dedu who helped him during the most dangerous moment in training, trading Dedu's own serious injury for the Salted Fish King's safety. Similarly, Dede will never forget that in the deep sea, Xian was seriously injured when he fought against the Overlord Megalodon and fought for their lives for Dede. Even if he returns to Slowpoke form, even if he returns to Magikarp form, what won't change is eternal friendship. More importantly, in Dial-Ga's time travel world, an impossible person appeared. The reason why Dial-Ga couldn't see Yang Yu was because Yang Yu's appearance transcended time. The world of time is silent. As the elves around Yang Yu gradually lined up and moved forward, an unimaginable cohesive force, with Yang Yu as the center, faced the world god of the world of time, Dial-Ga. I finally know why with the power of Slowpoke and Magikarp, I was able to get rid of the power of retracing time in the world at an almost desperate moment. Darkrai's heart was ups and downs, and infinite emotions seemed to be floating in his spiritual world. If this world doesn't make you willing to get hurt, even if it's a person or an elf who has given his life. How boring is life? Dial-Ga, that's enough. Coming to the time world is not our intention. The place we really want to go is the reverse world. If you still want to have this meaningless fight, even if it means death, I will make you pay the price. Darkrai rarely heard such cruel words from Yang Yu, but what he heard at this moment was that the black sleeves on his body, which were like ribbons, began to float tremblingly. Do not know why. Darkrai believed in his heart that this human being had such ability. In the long river of time that is gradually returning to normal flow, next to Dial-Ga's figure, the power of time is slowly fading. Looking back at the collapse of the world in time, he saw everything in it. Slowpoke hugged Magikarp with his body, using his body to protect the oncoming roar of time and space. Magikarp broke free from the embrace, and the threat aroused from Magikarp's eyes, like red lightning, pierced through time and looked back at the laws of the world. At that moment, Dial-Ga truly realized the eternal truth about the world left by the Creator God when he created them. Dial-Ga has no friends. All he has is his mortal enemy. As a god of the world, he has no friends, only enemies, and the most terrifying enemy is precisely himself. It would be nice if the boundaries of the time world were as stable as before. The steel wings spread out on Dialga's back due to the battle gradually retracted as the power of time stopped. On one thing, this human being was right. Darkrai wasn't wrong either. If there hadn't been a problem with the time world itself, they wouldn't have suddenly come here. Dialga also had no way of knowing that his own world had space loopholes that even it couldn't know about. The door to the reverse world is on the time bridge across the long river of time. Please leave my territory immediately. Dialga's voice seemed to be frustrated and lonely. Yang Yu didn't understand and didn't care. Just because Dialga took action against Slowpoke and Magikarp in the time rewind, Yang Yu would not forgive Dialga. However, he has more important things to do. The fight with Dialga will only waste and kill his time, including causing panic among Yang Xiao and other external trainers in the elf world. Darkrai. Darkrai nodded. That bridge does lead to the reverse world, and because of the instability and loopholes in the boundaries of the time world, from the bridge to the reverse world, you can see the space world where Palkia is. Salted Fish King, Dudu, let's go. Yang Yu didn't remember much and even wanted to leave here quickly. He needed a short period of rest. In the elven world outside, I don't know what is happening now. The corridor of reincarnation. It is said that if the souls in the reverse world pass the test of the 6 corridors of reincarnation, they can be reincarnated from the reverse world and return to the outside world of elves. The reverse world has arrived. The voice of Ice Queen Wang Tongbing disappeared between heaven and earth along with the ice and snow of Mount Everest.